Alright, let's begin. So we want to complete at least till verse 10 today of 9th chapter. 7 verses will be. Okay, so what did we discuss in the previous class? We are in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We have done 2 verses, right? 9.1 and 9.2. And 9.2 we discussed at length in the previous class. Raja Vidya verse, we discussed all the aspects. And now we are in 9.3. So chapter 9 is called as the most confidential knowledge. Primarily because most of mankind has no knowledge of who we are and what is the goal of life. Most of mankind doesn't have this knowledge. Therefore, this knowledge is called as confidential. So, in 9.2, the Lord has explained that this knowledge is highly confidential. Not only is it highly confidential, it is a king of knowledge. It is the purest of all knowledge. And this knowledge, when put into practice, can give direct perception. We can see the evidence in our own lives if we put this knowledge into practice. And it is also said that when you put this knowledge into practice, then that practice is very joyfully performed. So sukham kartum abhyayam. And when something is very joyful, then it can be performed without interruption forever. So Lord Krishna is he's marketing Bhakti process to Arjuna. He's talking about the glories of this transcendental knowledge. So with that platform, let's go to verse 3. Verse 3 says, here Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, those who are not faithful in this devotional service, he's talking about Ashraddhadhana Purusha. This is also a very important verse in that sense. It may or may not be a key memory verse, but it could be also. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Have you set it up?
Everywhere Dharma practice.
Dharma practice. I just want the doors to be closed because constantly it's disturbing. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. Sukdev Prabhu, you want to read?
Faithless cannot accomplish this process of devotional service. That is the purport of this verse. Faith is created by association with devotees. Unfortunate people, even after hearing all evidence of Vedic literature from great personalities, still have no faith in God. They are hesitant and cannot stay fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. Thus, faith is the most important factor for progress in Krishna consciousness. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that faith is the complete conviction that simply by the service by serving Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, one can achieve all perfection. That is called real faith, as stated in Srimad Bhagavad. By giving water to the root of the tree, one satisfies its branches, twigs, and leaves. And by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all senses of the body. Similarly, by engaging in transcendental service of Supreme Lord, one automatically satisfies all demigods and other living entities. Therefore, after reading Bhagavad Gita, one should promptly come to the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. One should give up all other engagements and adopt in the service of Supreme Lord, Krishna, the personality of Godhead. If one is convinced of this philosophy of life, that is faith. Now the development of that faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. There are three divisions of Krishna consciousness. In the third class, there are those who have no faith. Even if they have officially engaged in devotional service, they cannot achieve the highest perfection of faith. Most probably, they will slip after some time. They may become engaged, but because they haven't complete conviction of faith, it is very difficult for them to continue in Krishna consciousness. We have practical experience in discharging our missionary activity that some people come and apply themselves to Krishna consciousness with some hidden motive. And as soon as they are economically a little well situated, they give up this process and take to their old ways again. It is only by faith that one can advance in Krishna consciousness. As far as development of faith is concerned, one who is well versed in literatures of devotion service and has attained this stage of firm faith is called a first-class person in Krishna consciousness. And in the second class are those who are not very advanced in understanding of devotional service and devotional scriptures, but who automatically have firm faith that Krishna Bhakti or service to Krishna is the best course, and so in good faith have taken up. Thus they are superior to the third class, who have neither perfect knowledge of scripture nor good faith, but by association and simplicity are trying to follow. Third class person in Krishna consciousness may fall down, but one is in the second class, he does not fall down. And for the fourth class person in Krishna consciousness, there is no chance of falling down. One in the first class will surely make progress and achieve the result at the end. As far as the third class person in Krishna consciousness is concerned, although he has faith in the conviction that the devotional service to Krishna is very good, he has yet to gain adequate knowledge of Krishna through these scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes these third class person in Krishna consciousness have some tendency towards karma yoga and jnana yoga. Sometimes they are disturbed, but as soon as the infection of karma yoga and jnana yoga is vanquished, they become second class or the first class person in Krishna consciousness. Faith in Krishna is also divided into 3 stages and described in Srimad Bhagavatam. First class attachment, second class attachment, and third class attachment are also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 11th canto. Those who have no faith in, even after hearing about Krishna and the excellence of devotion service, who think that it is simply eulogy, find the faith find the path very difficult, even if they are supposedly engaged in devotion service. For them, there is a very little hope in gaining perfection. Thus, faith is very important in the discharge of devotional service.
So what are the points here?
The importance of faith is described here, and the faith itself is being defined.
The process to develop faith.
Reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam.
The dangers
of not being fully devoted, with not 100% faith and not scriptural knowledge. Those dangers of falling down.
The what? The dangers.
Danger of falling down if you don't have complete faith and also the complete knowledge. Better to have both, or at least faith.
So the importance of studying the scriptures has been emphasized. Rather than just engaging in service without understanding for what this service is, for what purpose, what is the underlying principle of this service. So it's very important to study scripture. That is what is.
Also, Krishna consciousness or Krishna cannot be cheated. In one sense, the fact that people sort of come into the movement and they basically sort of get what they want, what they achieve, and then move on. And they think they have achieved all, but in fact they haven't got the end all, beyond and end all, which is basically love of Krishna.
I can't hear you. Can you tell those children to be quiet?
And can we also infer that if
Sorry,
you are-
I don't know if you completed the point. Please.
Sorry? No.
Did you complete the point?
So basically I was just trying to make a point where people actually do come into Krishna consciousness with a motive, which is what was mentioned by Srila Prabhupada. They come in, they get what they want and they move on, thinking that they have actually achieved what they wanted, but in fact the point of getting to the love of Krishna, which is the end be all and end all goal, that is not achieved. So you cannot actually cheat Krishna in one sense.
Can we also infer that if you are aiming for the highest perfection, which is love of Krishna, all the other things can be simply a byproduct which come to you automatically.
You don't have to assume that it's explicitly stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Parajita Jalayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahitita. It automatically comes. Jnanam and Vairagyam automatically comes by Bhakti.
Same like rooting the water to the tree, ultimately it will give it will go to the Krishna, who is the Godhead. So the faith should be there. If you pray to the Lord Krishna, then automatically everything will come to the person.
Rupa Goswami says the 9 process of devotional service in the 9 stages. So in the 9 stages, Shraddha is the very first stage, and then followed by Asato Shraddha, Sadhusanga Bhajan Kriya. So the faith will gradually increase as the one progress in the stage of Bhakti, and here Prabhupada is emphasizing on that increase in faith one should have, by which one can understand the supreme subject matter. And here Prabhupada in between mentioned that even after one having that implicit faith, sometimes it may come to the next, he is trying to explain the other 2 platforms, the second class and third class of men, who may deviate into the other parts of yoga. Eventually they understand, and because of their implicit faith, again they can come back to the yoga.
Anything else?
Prabhupada also gave the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. He says that one should give up all the engagements and just engage in Krishna's service with faith.
Okay. Any other points? No. So, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing in the purport that without Shraddha, we cannot attain Bhagavan. Without faith, there is no question of a serious quest for spiritual enlightenment. That is not possible. Now, the very cause, to see the root cause of rebirth. If you actually go down, you find that it is the lack of faith, which is the cause of rebirth. If we are completely satisfied with this verse, Yatha Taror Mula Nisheshanam, which Prabhupada is writing here, which Prabhupada is quoting here, then there is no need to do any activity other than devotional service actually in this lifetime. Many of our activities which we do, if we deeply analyze outside of devotional service, it can in some way relate to the lack of faith. Personally for myself, yes, it is good to say that I have accepted Grihastha Ashram, I am going to work so that whatever income comes, then I will give to Krishna partly, and then the remaining Lakshmi will become purified. I will donate to the temple partly I will fund my house and my car and whatever. So this is good, okay, and we can say Yukta Vairagya. But if you have to really, go more deeper, it may not be as simple as that. We may not be as holy as what we think we are. It may not be necessarily like that. Because sometimes we do get anxious for a job which offers a higher salary. Sometimes we do get anxious for promotion in office. We do get anxious for success in our endeavor. Now all that is simply because if inside our consciousness we know that by satisfying the Lord, by simply engaging in devotional service, then we will attain that happiness which we are looking for, then there is no need for any endeavor outside of that. Because we are not completely convinced, then we are trying to, even the whole concept of retirement, I am saving for my retirement, and I have to have, what should be the bank balance, Prabhuji, for retirement? Many people ask that question. What should be the bank balance to retire? In one sense, yes, because we don't have enough faith, then we are trying to plan with our own little heads. So it's a very big subject matter, faith. In fact, I remember that when I was doing Bhakti Shastri, I studied Bhakti Shastri in 2003-2004 in Toronto, in Canada. And I remember I asked this question to my teacher. In fact, no, it wasn't my Bhakti Shastri teacher. I think one of Kadambakanan Maharaj was visiting. That was the first ever time I met Kadambakanan Maharaj. So he had come as a guest lecturer, I think, to our program, Bhakti Shastri. So and he was explaining, this. That's for the first time that I heard this. Adho Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajana Kriya. The whole phases of devotional life I heard for the first time from Kadambakanan Maharaj. Now, ordinarily, immediately what I thought was, it's like a going up and up and up. Does that make sense? Yeah. I thought that first we'll have to have complete faith in the Lord, and then with complete faith in the Lord, then we will take Sadhu Sangha. Then after we perfect the art of Sadhu Sangha, then we will start Bhajana Kriya. After we perfect the art of Bhajana Kriya, then we will move to Anartha Nivritti, and then it doesn't make sense. If I have perfected Bhajana Kriya, then why will I have Anarthas in my heart? So these are the kind of questions that I had. So it cannot be like that. And Kadambakanan Maharaj immediately answered me, saying that it's right, it's not like that. It's not a. He said it's like a graphic equalizer. You have bass so much, you have treble so much at any point in time. Everything is at a particular level. So your faith is here, your taste is here, your faith is here, but your taste is here. So it's like that. And your prema, all of us have some prema. It's not that we don't have any prema. If we didn't have prema, we wouldn't be in the movement, doing anything for the Lord. Isn't it? So it's like all are on the same level in one sense, at different degrees. So he corrected my thinking at that time, I remember. So, but certainly some faith has to be there. The faith graphic equalizer cannot be zero with the other components having some value higher than zero. It's not possible. Faith is the starting point. There has to be some faith. So, Adhav Shraddha. Without faith, the Bhakti will not begin. So, because we lack this faith, Therefore, we sometimes over plan for retirement or a bad day or whatever.
So just on that 9 stages, you said how it's like an equalizer, but a devotee who attains prema stage, he has actually perfected all the other stages, right?
Correct. He's high on.
On all of them. It cannot be that he is...
There is an ascension. I am not saying there is no ascension. If you read Madhurya Kadambini, it uses the word, then the next shower, when he moves to that stage, So there is an ascension, but at the same time, it's not that, you have faith, but no prema. That also doesn't make sense, isn't it? You have faith, but you are not associating with devotees. That also doesn't make sense. You have faith. There are people who have faith, but don't associate with devotees. But example, when you take it further, you do bhajana kriya, but there is no anartha nivritti. After that, there is a separate stage. No. Bhajana kriya will lead to anartha nivritti. They are all, in one sense, interrelated, closely interrelated. So we can't put them on any linear graph or whatever, in that sense. We have to just see each of them where we are. How much am I on my bhajana kriya? How much am I on my anartha nivritti? But of course, we know that anartha nivritti is inversely proportional to bhajana kriya. More the bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti is directly proportional. Anarthas are inversely proportional. In that sense. So we know that is there.
Can we say that as we progress on the stages, the lower stages are getting perfected?
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, you can say that. Yes. As we go to the higher stages, the lower stages are more and more mature.
Very one question. How do we know if, for example, you're saying retirement savings, right? We're living in this material world. There is a need. I mean, without money, obviously, any amount, whatever amount takes, we can't survive, right? So how do we know what is Krishna's plan? What is our plan? What if he's getting it done through us? How can we say?
If we know Krishna's plan, then there is no need of faith.
No, but the thing is, whatever we are doing, it still has to happen, right? So it's some way, one way or the other.
Yeah, so we have to do our duties.
Okay.
No doubt about it. I'm not talking about not doing the duties. All I'm talking about is the anxiety which we are always in. Where there is faith, then there is no anxiety. Again, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for others. Because I go through bouts of anxiety many times. What will happen? Whether my son will do well in life. What if he doesn't do? Then can I retire? Will I have to work till 75 if he is not? And all these things are there. So there is attachment on one hand. What if my son doesn't become a devotee? Like that. So many people go through these bouts of anxiety. So this is because we don't have faith. To the extent faith is less, the anxiety is higher. So in Bhagavatam, we are going to soon come to that section in our Bhaktivedanta of the Avadhuta Brahmana. I think it's there, it's coming around the corner. It's coming. So he is not doing anything, he is just laying down. And then he says, why do I have to work? Whatever has to come to me will come to me. Actually, if we actually even study corporate life, we will sometimes find that it may seem as if there is a correlation. But sometimes, if you really see outside, you may find there is no correlation. There are times when we have worked harder, when we haven't got that much money. And there are times which we have not done that much, but we have got more. So, if you really observe, we will find that we can't understand what's going on. Sometimes money comes from somewhere, we don't know how it has come. Suddenly it comes from somewhere. And at the same time, sometimes it goes also, despite our best endeavor to protect it. It can go. So, anxiety and faith are inversely proportional. More the faith, less the anxiety. And higher anxiety is a symptom of less faith and less surrender. By and large. Now, faith should be on what? When we say faith should be there, faith should be there. So what is this faith? What should it be on? So Prabhupada writes here, faith should be in Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Faith means having complete faith that Lord Krishna is the protector and the Rakshishyati sa Vishwaso. He will definitely protect and he will definitely maintain us. So that is the faith. Therefore, all I need to do is to abide by the instructions that he is giving in the Bhagavad Gita. That is a symptom of faith. Many people say, हमारा फैमिली में भी सब लोग कृष्ण भक्त है, पूरा फैमिली भक्त है, they are all devotees of Krishna. वही मालिक है. They will say like that. But if you ask the मालिक ने जो बोला है वो आप कर रहे हो क्या, तो बोलते वो टाइम नहीं है ना करने को. People will argue like that. So if he is the malik, if you really accept that he is the malik, then do whatever he is telling. Then why you are saying time nahi? Correct? That means you have not accepted him as the malik. That means there is one more malik. Who is that malik? The mind. Our mind is malik. Mera man hi malik. Like that. Because our mind will always tell you, बाद में देखते हैं. Correct? बाद में करेंगे. बाद में कुछ नहीं होगा. बाद में we will be put on a, you know what is Ram नाम सत्य है. That is the eternal truth. जो बाद में करेगा वो. That's all. Next lifetime. Why delay? Either you do it now. Do it now. Don't postpone devotional service. So, faith means following the instructions. Suppose you say, I have faith in the cardiologist. I am going to go for bypass surgery. I have full faith in the cardiologist. So you go with faith. After that, the cardiologist is giving some instruction. आज के बाद थोड़ा पूरी कम खाना, तेल कम खाओ. Suppose you say, कुछ भी बोलते हो आप. Cardiologist तो बोलने का काम है उसका. मैं क्यों करूँ? Suppose we think like that. That means I think that the cardiologist is exaggerating little bit. जरूरत से ज़्यादा बोल रहा है instruction वो. Which means I don't have faith in the cardiologist. Because of which I am thinking, no, it can't be so much. क्या है? कुछ भी पूरी नहीं खाने का. What is this? Like that. Many people argue like that. What is life? फिर क्या जिंदगी जीऊँ या नहीं? People will argue like that. Which means I don't have complete faith that the doctor is prescribing something which is for my eternal good. If I have sugar, the doctor says no sweets from tomorrow. Then usually we get angry at the doctor. Correct? Especially if you see diabetes patients are very difficult to handle. They will get angry if you tell them don't eat. No, enough. You say they'll fire you actually after that. They think that you are coming in the way of their, or you are envious of their sense gratification. Because they don't have faith that your instructions are correct. Or they have faith, but the desire to enjoy is so high that the faith is subdued as a result of that. So the anarthas are so high that the shraddha is subdued. Like that. So faith means following the prescription of the doctor. Otherwise it's not faith. Then we should not say you don't like. Then we should say, okay, I have heard Bhagavad Gita. ठीक है, कुछ तो बोला है उसने. Something Krishna is telling. I don't have much faith. थोड़ा है, थोड़ा कुछ करूँगा. That is not complete faith. But complete faith is different. Complete faith means that we will surrender to the instructions as it is, without tampering with them. And have the faith that by following that instructions, the outcome will always be auspicious. So Prabhupada is talking about three kinds of devotees. Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari and Uttam Adhikari. What is the difference? Kanishta Adhikari is a person who is coming new into Krishna consciousness. Faith उनका, in Hindi we say डामाडोल. ऐसा ऐसा. Faith. कभी हाँ कभी ना. So it's always shaky. So these people, they will come, and as Yogeshwar Govind Prabhu was pointing out, as long as everything is going very well in life, अरे प्रभु की इच्छा से सब खुश है भाई, सब कुछ कुशल मंगल चल रहा है. And when something calamity happens, then they say, भगवान अंधा हो गया क्या? Suddenly you will change the whole perception of Bhagwan. Is he there? Does he exist? Like that. So this is not called as faith. Faith means that which is not shaken by circumstance. In any situation, then you have that faith. So a person whose faith is very shaky is called as Kanishta Adhikari. Rather, the symptom of a Kanishta Adhikari is that he has got shaky faith. So, many people will come to Krishna consciousness. I have seen many people in Bhaktivedanta program, even from the Brunswick batch. I remember when Vishwajit Prabhu and all these people, Karunamurti Prabhu, they were all coming. Since that time, I know of some members who came for the Bhaktivedanta program only because they were not settled in Australia. बहुत डर लग रहा था. Will we be able to settle here? They had come, on a PR or they had come on a work permit, and they were living in rented house. They were doing odd jobs. Coals में काम करो, Safeway, odd jobs they were doing. And they were doing very nicely. 16 rounds. Oh Prabhu, the material world is so bad. My God, I don't know how long I can work in that coals. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. No, they will do. But the moment they got job in IBM or Accenture, but the moment they got into the comfort level in their life, then feedback went out. They will stop coming for the program. So they came because there was some distaste for the material world and the way material world was treating them. But once the material world started treating them nicely, there was no compelling reason to practice Krishna Bhakti. अभी क्या जरूरत है? सब तो फर्स्ट क्लास सेटल हो गया अभी हम लोग. PR हो गया, जॉब हो गया. We have bought one house, second house, reverse gearing is happening. So what is the problem? Nothing is the problem. One car, wife is also having another car, children are going to grammar school. What is the problem? Everything is first class. Then they need something to shake them up. Like that. Like an earthquake slightly shakes the building up. Even little bit shaking is enough, no? For us. Little bit shaking is enough, especially if it's a tall building. Little bit shaking is enough. So something the Lord will give a jolt. Or the doctor will say, there is a concern on your medical report. And then they will be seen in the program. It happens like that. So Kanishta, this is Kanishta Adhikari. Kanishta Adhikari means fair weather devotees. Why Kanishta Adhikaris have this? Because they do not understand the science of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada says, practicing religion without philosophy is mere sentiment. They will practice at a sentimental level. There is one person who comes here, I don't know, it's from Gujarat I think. Every time he'll catch me. Julan Atra has got me. Hare! I went to him. I said, Hare Krishna, Uncle Jai Shri Krishna. When can I see the Lord's lotus feet? I said, 50 बार मेरे को पूछा, मैं कितना बार बोलूं? वही बात. He will keep on asking me that question. For the 10th time he has asked. Even in Bhagavad class he asked, speaker was speaking something and then he asked, you tell me when I can see the Lord's feet. Lord's feet इधर है ना, देखो ना. Problem क्या है? सामने ही है. Go inside and if you want to take a closer look, 16 rounds, 4 regularity principles, Brahmin initiation, you can wash the Lord's feet. You can massage the Lord's feet also. Correct? So, but somehow, and then the person is just coming and going. I have never seen feedback like that. So this is called sentiment. Something is there, or just some dialogue is there. When can I see? Prabhu, kab hoga darshan aapka? Kab hoga? Like that. People talk these dialogues, but they don't do something about it. So faith means what? Practical. Kuch karne ka. Not as a big sentences, dramatic sentences. Not like that. Something practical. Take the feedback. Start chanting 16 rounds. Now you will say, ये 16 rounds क्यों करने का है भाई? Then devotees can explain to you. But if you don't want to do it, then you can always justify. Devotees can only tell you why to do 16 rounds. But nobody can force you to do 16 rounds. Because we have to understand that faith leads to practice. But practice only reinforces faith. It's a cyclic process. Faith leads to practice. Without faith, we will not practice. But जितने अच्छे से practice करेंगे, उतना ज़्यादा faith बढ़ेगा. So it's a cyclic. It's not that अभी हम faith का standard हो गया है अपना. अभी हम लोग practice का platform है. No, it's not like that. That's why it's not steps. You have faith, you associate with devotees, you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and your faith further develops. And because the faith further develops, again you read more of Srimad Bhagavatam, more of devotional service. When you do that, again the faith further develops. So it's a cyclical process. That is why there is a verse which says, Satam prasangat mama virya samvidam bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha tad joshanad asu apavargavatmai shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishyati. Which means what? in Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, Satam Prasangat Mama Virya Samvidam. Satam Prasangat means what? In the association of devotees, Mama Virya Samvidam. Discussion of my pastimes, Krishna's pastimes. Discussion of Krishna's pastimes in the association of devotees. Some people say, Prabhu, Ramanand Sagar ka Mahabharat dekho kya? After all, it is all, Ramayana, Mahabharata hi to hai. Fine, dekho, koi problem nahi hai. But you will progress more spiritually if you hear it from the lips of a pure devotee, rather than seeing, film star as Draupadi. Most of the time, people used to see that Draupadi because, the Rupa Ganguly was playing that role. Correct? So people will not remembering Draupadi's great qualities when you see that. I remember as a teenager, we used to rush because Rupa Ganguly was coming in the next shot. Like that. So people go and see all these things for the wrong reasons. Not because, they are very interested in Krishna Bhakti suddenly. So we have to understand that literature when heard from devotee, such literature will lead to transformation of the heart. Otherwise there will be some information, but that information will not lead to transformation. Transformation means Satam Prasangad Mama Virya Samvidam. In the association of pure devotees, then we hear activities and pastimes of Lord Krishna. Then what happens? Bhavanti Rit Karna Rasayana Katha. Rit means Hriday, heart. Karna means ears. Then what happens when you hear like that? Then your heart, when it enters through the holes of the ears, then the heart is purified. Bhavanti Rit Karna Rasayana Katha. Ye katha itna ras bhara hai. Krishna Bhagavanta. Bhavanti. Tat Joshanad Asu Apavargavartmani. Asu means quick. If you do this process, of associating with devotees and hearing Krishna Katha, Asu Apavargavartmani. There is Mrityu Samsara Vartmani and then there is Apavargavartmani. Both are opposite. Mrityu Samsara Vartmani means what? The cycle of birth and death. Apavargavartmani means liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Tat Joshanad Asu. Asu fast. Very quickly you can attain liberation by this process. Both asan processes. Tat Joshanad Asu Apavarga Vartmani. And then what it says? Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishyati. Anukramanka means what? In Marathi, Anukramanka means serial number. Okay. Shraddha, Rati, Bhakti comes in order. Anukramanka. Sequence. In that sequence it comes. Now it's here carefully. What it is saying? Shraddha comes as a result of sadhu sangha. Does it make sense now?
Yes.
So you are already started associating with sadhus and it says Shraddha Ratir Bhakti Anukramishati. Now how do you reconcile that and this verse where Adho Shraddha Yata Sadhu Sangha, where Shraddha is the starting point? Is Shraddha the result of hearing or is Sadhu Sangha the result of Shraddha? Because both are talking different now. Which means we understand that it is a cyclical process. That is how we reconcile these two verses. So that is the importance of faith. So a Kanishta Adhikari, because he is not associating with devotees more often, because of which he has some faith, lekin wo dhila rehta hai. Because the person is not coming constantly for morning Bhagavatam class, there is no regimen of hearing, there is no strictness about eating only prasadam. So people can go to McDonald's also, you can eat something and then come to the temple also. Nothing stops you from doing that, right? So there is no strictness. So sometimes the progress is also stunted to that extent. Also there is no reading of the scriptures. When you don't read the scriptures, then your sentiment is not replaced with knowledge. Conviction will not come based on sentiment. Conviction will come based on knowledge, practice and realizations that come out of that practice. Then conviction comes. Correct? So these people are called as Kanishta. Needless to say, Kanishta Adhikari, because they are not knowledgeable, they can be counted like this by their family, friends and other well-wishers. Correct? Somebody will go back home and say, Melbourne से आया है, बहुत अच्छा है, हमारा टेम्पल है उधर. मतलब क्या सिखाया उनको? बोलते हैं वो लोग मांस मच्छी खाते ही नहीं है. They don't eat meat at all. They have told me, so I have given up. So then the mother will say, but plants also have life. And then they will wonder, ये बात तो बराबर है. Plants also have life. Plants को भी तो life होता है. तो animal को थोड़ी life होता है. Scientifically plants, father will also say, be scientific. Plants also have life. That way you should not even eat vegetables then. And he'll say, barabar hai. That's why I told you, these Hare Krishna, they will always talk impractical things. I told you, follow family traditions. We elders know what is good, what is bad. Your grandfather has told, your great grandfather did. So they know what is good. That's why they will convince you. Great grandfather must have never touched Bhagavad Gita. That is a different issue. But because he said it becomes Brahma Vakya for the family. One ignorant person tells another ignorant person, just because of seniority, just because somebody is senior, can we accept everything? That way even Hitler is senior to all of us. Can we accept? No, he was after all, he is senior. Can we accept? No. But Osama bin Laden, he is also senior to us in age. So can we accept everything, whatever they are saying? So, obviously, what the person's spiritual realization is what matters. How much the person has understood the goal of life and what effort he has put in self-realization. Such a person we can accept, even if that person is younger. That's why, if you see in Naimisaranya, there are a lot of old people sitting. Sukadeva Goswami was the youngest. Everyone was hearing from Sukadeva Goswami because he was the most realized. So, Kanishta Adhikari is a person because he does not have much association. Wherever he goes with his newfound wisdom, he tries to unleash on his family members, then immediately there is a rebuttal to that. And then the Kanishta Adhikari comes back, Prabhu, India जाके आया, क्या हो गया? Chanting कर रहे हो क्या? नहीं प्रभु बंद हो गया. क्या हो गया भाई? तो वो लोग बोल रहे हैं क्या यार तुम ये सब ऐसा सब कर रहा है, अच्छा नहीं है ये सब, हरे कृष्णा सब करने का. Family tradition they have asked me to follow. तो वो अभी हम ज़्यादा आएगा नहीं. ऐसा आता है दर्शन के लिए आऊँगा ऐसा. इनसे ओके हरी बोल. Finished. That's all. End of the story. Or the devotee will go there and say demigod worship should not be done. And the family will severely chastise him against that. And then he will come back. Or there is another case also. It happened here only, in our congregation. One devotee, he had very nice devotee actually. This can happen at any stage of bhakti. So went to India, practicing very nice, 16 rounds, everything. I think the devotee probably got initiated also. Went back to India and then came back and probably lost his job or something like that. And the parents told him, that is why मैं बोला ये नहीं करने का. देखो अभी job चला गया तुम्हारा. That's why I told you, don't do this. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You lost your job now. Now one time the devotee will refute. They will say, no. Unshakable faith must be there in all circumstances. Okay. Then he goes for second interview, rejected. Then parents will, see I told you, second interview also you got rejected. Then he goes for third interview. Third interview also rejected. Then what happens? Then that unshakable faith starts shaking. And what happens? Somehow what happens? The parents tell, that is why I told you, follow the family traditions. And then do family puja and worship the family Baba. Like that. And then what happens? Suddenly he gets a job. Hare, mummy was right. Daddy was right. देखो अभी जॉब मिल गया. अभी तो बाबा का वर्शिप करने का. This is why बोला बेटा. See, that's why पापा मम्मा हमेशा बोलते थे. मत पूछो इसको. ये कृष्णा कॉन्शियस वाले लोग ऐसे ही करेंगे तुमको. And then suddenly then realization comes. And then devotee is out. All for you are leaving Krishna for the sake of a job. So faith is something which can shake. It's easy to sit and lecture on this. I don't know what will happen to me. So we can never take our faith for granted because Krishna will test our faith. And it's very easy for him to test. Like that. Sometimes the prayer is, don't give me such a hard test. Like that. So Kanishta Adhikari. Kanishta Adhikari cannot convince others. What to speak of cannot convince others. Anybody can defeat him also. And he will come back losing all his Krishna consciousness. The higher devotee is Madhyam Adhikari. Madhyam Adhikari is what? A person who has studied the scriptures. For example, doing these courses, Bhakti Sastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhaktivedanta, all these courses are to put us on the platform of Madhyam Adhikari. Madhyam Adhikari has got two things. One is, two aspects we should understand. The Madhyam Adhikari is well versed with the scriptures, and because he is well versed with the scriptures, he is completely convinced. It's a different issue. A Madhyama Adhikari may not be able to convince someone else. Not necessarily. Madhyama Adhikari preaches. but he may not be able to convince others many a time. Right? But one thing is there, the other cannot convince the Madhyama Adhikari back. In a kabaddi match, सामने जाके मध्यम अधिकारी कबड्डी करके पकड़ के लाए या ना लाए, उधर जाके आउट होके नहीं आएगा, लाइन क्रॉस करके वापस आ जाएगा. That much is sure. That is called as मध्यम अधिकारी. And an उत्तम अधिकारी is one who does not go to the other line at all. He is standing here itself and people are attracted to him. उधर से चल के आ जाएगा, हमको आउट होना है. So that was Srila Prabhupada. People just saw him and said, oh, what an effulgent personality, we want to surrender our life to him. He didn't even speak something. Just seeing that person. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked, who is a pure devotee? And he gave various gradations. First he said a person who chants
one time.
Yeah. And then he said,
Lifelong.
Always chanting.
Always chanting. And then finally it climaxes, a person who on seeing others will start chanting. That is called as real pure devotee. So Srila Prabhupada was that stature. That is Uttamadhikari. Uttamadhikari need not, by his life itself people will surrender. I remember when I was preaching to Yamuna Leela, it was very difficult days. All she had to do was read Prabhupada Leelamrit. She read Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit, completely convinced, surrendered, devotee.
Prabhuji, somewhere I can't remember, I heard Prabhupada spoke to a person for 30 minutes or 40 minutes and that person opened his first temple in Fiji.
First temple in Fiji, yeah. I also heard.
5 minutes he spoke in Russia.
Was it Devji?
Yeah. And 5 minutes he spoke to a person in Russia and he said that the seed is sown.
Yeah.
And Russia is huge now.
That is called as Uttamadhikari. How this happens is because the faith inside one person goes and sits in the heart of another person. That is how the faith is transferred. And this is Madhuri Kadamini, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes this. Faith inside another person comes because of faith inside a pure devotee. Like that. Because Krishna is very impartial. Some people ask, अगर कृष्णा भगवान पार्शियल है इसीलिए तो कुछ लोग डिवोटी बनते हैं और कुछ लोग नहीं बनते हैं. लॉर्ड इज पार्शियलिटी ही इज डूइंग, सबको इक्वल बनाने का. क्यों कुछ लोगों को भक्त बनाया, कुछ लोगों को नहीं बनाया. बट एक्चुअली हु इज पार्शियल? Krishna is not partial. How do people become devotees? Because of Krishna or because of devotee of Krishna? Because of devotee of Krishna only people become devotees. I remember, I would that Krishna was always there, but I became devotee only after reading Prabhupada's books. Right? So we all have become devotee through his messengers, through the Masiha who comes. Because the messenger of Lord Krishna is partial. Krishna may not be partial. Krishna will just go by merit. Okay, I am giving you free will. But it is the devotees who interfere with our free will. Who ask you, push you. Sometimes people say, Prabhuji, you are pushing us to chant 16 rounds. If I don't push you, will you chant 16 rounds? Not, possibly not. Unless we ask every Bhakti Vriksha, we hammer it. Next Ekadashi, 1 round. Next Ekadashi, 1 round. We keep doing it for months and years. So people come to the platform of 16 rounds. If we just give a very nice philosophy. So after all are good people here. You are good, I am good, everybody good. मन किया तब चैंट कीजिए, नहीं तो मत कीजिए. सब लोग अच्छे ही हैं, आप लोग इतने अच्छे लोग हैं, आ रहे हैं. You know, if we do that, if we give a very sugar-coated philosophy, nobody will do anything. अगर if अरविंद प्रभु बचपन में आपने बोला था, बेटा चाहिए तो पढ़ो, नहीं तो मत पढ़ो, सब ठीक है. स्कूल जाना है तो जाओ. No, free will. How nice. 2 थप्पड़ लगाना पड़ा ये. बैठो अभी पढ़ो. उस समय अच्छा नहीं लगा, but later on, नहीं फायदा हुआ. My daddy was strict with me. That's why I am today where I am. Correct? So similarly, when we become preachers also, sometimes you have to be strong, little bit strong like that. And with us also, our senior devotees will be strong. We have to understand that also. Not that only when I am preaching, I am very strong with others. We have to be strong to take instruction also when we are preached to, like that. So 3 levels of devotees: Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama. Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama. Srila Prabhupada was lecturing in Montreal, 1968, where he said, faith is always backed up by the activity of pleasing Bhagavan. Faith should always be backed up by the desire to please Bhagavan. Otherwise, that faith without action is useless. And Prabhupada said there are two types of faith which people have. One faith, it is very cutting how Prabhupada speaks. He says one faith is for exacting things from the Lord. And the other faith is for pleasing the Lord. For example, I remember when I had to, I was preparing for my MBA entrance exam. I remember. And obviously in India the competition is very high. There are very few seats. When I studied there were some 42 seats only in the college. And there were thousands and lakhs of people applying. So many people were applying. In India it's like that. This Melbourne high and all is nothing. So they're still in thousands, competing for 100. There are lakhs of people competing. If you go for one job interview, you know how many people turn up, like that. So it was very difficult. So that time I started saying Hanuman Chalisa. Jai Hanuman Jnana Guna Sagar, Jai Kapi Satyahu Loka Ujagara. I had no special affiliation for Lord Hanuman. Like that. Neither I was a Ram Bhakt. But problem was that घबराहट हो गई. Admission मिलेगा ही नहीं. कुछ भी करो. So therefore, जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण से जय हनुमान ज्ञान कुछ भी करो बेड़ा पार कर दो बहुत मेहनत करना पड़ रहा है and I was when you are fed up of your current job also you want to growth now you want to do people said अभी MBA करने का है अभी engineering हो गया like that so you are under a lot of pressure from peer pressure society pressure all kinds of pressure self pressure right so somehow you want बेड़ा पार कर दे भगवान I didn't even know who Hanuman was. So I thought everyone was God only at some point. So pray to anybody. So Hanuman will give buddhi. That's what my mother said. So and you need intelligence to pass high speed exams. So then you have to really please give me the buddhi to do this over all others. And I should do better than them. So that's how. So this is Prabhupada. When I read Prabhupada, I immediately remembered myself. People have faith for exacting things from the Lord. So I have complete faith that the Lord will give me admission in this college. पूरा विश्वास है मन में हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन like that. So this is one type of faith. It is good to have this faith. At least we don't have the arrogance saying that I am good, I don't need any help. Okay, I can get in. That is called as arrogance. Better than that is this faith for exacting things. So at least there is dependency on the Lord. But the highest is what? Having faith that by serving the Lord, I don't need that MBA degree in the first place. That is a different kind of faith. I don't need to, I don't need degrees. I don't need to worry about prestige. I don't need, a high salary, because by serving Lord Krishna, then He will maintain me. That is different. I just told this example to show that three different levels. So Prabhupada is talking about that. He said one is for exacting and one is for pleasing the Lord. The Madhurya Kadambini, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about two types of faith. One type of faith is called as Swabhavika faith. Swabhavika. Swabhavika matlab jo apne aap jage faith. By one's own swabhav or nature. Spontaneous. Pata nahi kahan se aa gaya ye faith. It's like that. Swabhavika. And the other one is called as Bala Utpadita. Bal Utpadita. Which means your faith was not there on its own, but by powerful preaching, wo faith aa gaya. Bal Utpadita. So Madhurya Kadambini talks about two types here. So Rupa Goswami is also quoting Nectar of Devotion. Kadao Shraddha Sadhusanga. We saw that. Devotional service begins with faith. So initially this faith could be blind. But from blind faith, because now we are studying Srila Prabhupada's books, it becomes informed faith. That's the only difference. And informed faith से faith और थोड़ा तगड़ा हो जाता है, बढ़ जाता है, like that. It becomes stronger from blind to informed faith. And also, such faith leads to shelter. Only if we have faith, we'll take shelter. No? Only if I have faith that this umbrella doesn't have a hole, will I take it outside. If the umbrella has a hole, then I'm not sure. What is the point? वो छेद से बारिश फिर से भीगने वाला है anyway. Why should I carry this umbrella? It's like that. So if we have complete faith that this will protect me, then I will buy that. Like that. So faith leads to shelter. If you see a different way, people who delay the shelter are usually people who do not still have not developed faith. They delay shelter. For example, there may be devotees, and we know many of them, they will keep going and hearing Mayavadi classes, even after coming to ISKCON temple for years. They will say, on Saturdays and Sundays I come to Hare Krishna temple. On Fridays and special holidays I go to some Mayavadi temple. It will go on like that, and for years they will keep going everywhere. On some other day they will do puja of some demigod. So such people will not take shelter at all. They will be there in the congregation. Everybody will know their name. They will know everybody's name. Occasionally they will put tilak also and come like that. But they will not go anywhere. They will never come to the platform of taking shelter. So a test of our faith is how soon we can surrender to a living spiritual master in disciplic succession. Otherwise, you will not go anywhere. Especially, many times, despite all knowledge, we still rely on our instincts for thinking what is right and what is wrong. For example, I may be born in somewhere in Bangalore or Karnataka or South India, and somebody has told me that we are all Ramanuja Sampradaya. Somebody has put it in my mind now. Now it's a different issue that I was watching T20 cricket and I was watching Bollywood movies. But somebody has drilled in my head. Now, we devotees meet these people. We tell them actually we are not part of any Sampradaya. Kalo Shudra Sambhava. We are all part of only one Sampradaya. Which is what? Work like a donkey in office and then enjoy the money by watching television and other things. That is only one common thing which binds everyone. Common to all. Like that. So, but somehow, because that drilling is there, even after they learn everything, ABCD, from Srila Prabhupada, they will not take initiation. They will try their best to delay the process and then say that no, I'll think later, I'll do. Actually, we are thinking which sampradaya we should take, this sampradaya, that sampradaya, all those things. Correct? So then it will not go anywhere. That means there is no faith. There is no faith even in Srila Prabhupada. Even after being in the movement, then there is no faith. So and without that faith, one cannot progress to the next stage of Tivra Bhakti. It is not possible. So therefore, at some point in time, we have to be in a hurry to surrender. Usually, a thumb rule is, after 2 years of Bhakti Vriksha program, then if the conviction is not coming that we will accept the sampradaya, then there is something wrong. That means little bit slow, like that. I am not saying that people should get initiated in 2 years, but at least there should be a reasonable faith that Prabhupada is talking sense and he is a true representative of Bhagavan. That much faith should be there. If it doesn't come, there is either something wrong with the members or there is something wrong with the preacher also. Something is wrong somewhere. Correct? So we have to really introspect here. What is going wrong? Sorry? So, in this verse, Lord has completed the glorification of the knowledge that he is going to speak. So, if you see Raja Vidya, Raja Govind, he is glorifying transcendental knowledge. But we just thought we'll spend some more time because this verse is Prabhupada has given a long purport to this faith. So, we discuss several important aspects of faith today. Now, in verses 4 to 10, Lord Krishna describes his own Achintya Bhed Abhed relationship with the material world. First, the Lord is talking about transcendental knowledge. Now, the Lord is taking a small detour and talking about the material world and his relationship with the material world in the next few verses. So, let's read the translation from 4 to 6. So, verse 4-5. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses. Sorry. 5 में चला गया क्या? नहीं. Yes, sorry, where am I reading? I was also wondering suddenly that it's going somewhere else. 7 o'clock. Oh, what's the time now? 8:21. I think the book turned it. I was holding it. Which was, sorry, where were we? 9.4. It's gone to 7th chapter actually. Alright, sorry. So we discussed about Ashradadhana Purusha. Yeah. By me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So please meditate on this carefully. By me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. And we'll talk about this in tomorrow's Bhagavatam class also, this aspect. By me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. सब लोग मेरे अंदर है, लेकिन मैं उनमें नहीं हूँ. But is he there or not? There is a lot. So we'll come to that. So there is a lot of things that he's saying. We have to reconcile properly. Next. And yet, everything that is created does not rest in me. This way, that way. Yeah. Behold my mystic opulence. Because we cannot understand it, immediately what word is used? Behold. Mystic. Mystic is something which you can't understand. That's why it is written, behold my mystic opulence. Okay. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. So since you have already done the homework and read the purports, I will not read it here.
Good assumption.
Huh?
Good assumption.
Good assumption. I am confident that all of you have read and done. You have used the 2 weeks to read all the purports in advance, discuss it. Madhavananda Prabhu's group will do that. That's confidence.
Oh, you have good faith. You have good faith.
Shraddha. Shraddha is back to activity. Okay. So Lord Krishna is explaining his relationship with the maintenance of this material world. There are 3 aspects of the material world: maintenance,
Sustenance.
creation and destruction. So he is talking about maintenance of the material world right now. So he explains his relationship with regard to maintenance of this material world. And he explains this philosophy of Achintya Bheda. What is it?
We use it as a weight so the book won't lose the
Okay. So it's so he's explaining the philosophy of Achintya Bheda. Simultaneously he is present and he is not present also. He explains his connectedness and unconnectedness with matter. He is connected but yet not connected. He is saying that the material world rests on him, but he is aloof from the material world. ये भी बोलते हैं. Now, this is also this is very nicely explained in the Chatushloki of Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone knows what is Chatushloki of Srimad Bhagavatam? How did you read it? When did you do all this?
I know the
Very nice. I'm so happy with your reading.
Remembrance from past life.
Good. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's all I know.
Aham evasam evagre nanyat sad asad param. Then paschat aham eva etatcha yo vishishyeta so asmi aham. So the Lord creates, essentially tells in the first verse of the Chatushloki. Chatushloki means the most important verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Emperor verse. Like in Bhagavad Gita we have, no? Aham sarvasya prabhu, then jamachita madgata prana. Then Tesham Putashanam and Tesham Evanu Kampata. So like that the equivalent in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9, 33 to 36. You may note down. And you can go home and then read that section. Prabhupada is giving nice purports there. Very long purports. Canto 2, chapter 9, text 33 to 36. So in that verse, the first verse of the Chatushloki, Lord Krishna says, Aham evasam evagare. In that So in that verse he says that the context is like this, that Lord Brahma has now emerged on the lotus flower. वो बैठे हैं उधर, उनको पता नहीं करना क्या है. So Lord Krishna is now, he does tapa for many years. He goes down the tube first of all to search. But Prabhupada writes, God cannot be found by astral travel. God can only be found by doing tapasya. And in Kali Yuga, what is the tapasya we do? Chanting. That is the tapasya. So that is the way we can understand. Even Brahma had to do tapasya. So therefore, the Lord is saying that, so Brahma does the tapasya and then the Lord comes and starts giving him knowledge. As a part of that, these verses are spoken where the Lord tells him, Aham eva sam eva gre. That verse. He says that, my dear Brahma, I was there when nothing was there. And after everything is created, destroyed, whatever will remain will be I. He says. That is the first Chatushloki. That means he is Adi Purusham. Anadi. There is no beginning to him. Everything may come, go, become manifest, then become unmanifest, but he still remains. He says, I am that. He is saying. Then in the next verse, he says, Rite ritam yat pratiyeta, na pratiyeta cha atmani. Tat vida atmano mayam yata bhasho yata tamah. Something like that verse. Where he says that anything that you see without its relationship to me is illusion. Anything that you see, if you don't see it in relationship to me, then it remains illusion. Which means the material world is an illusion. However, we can still see Krishna in this material world if we see the material world in relationship to Krishna. What is the relationship of the material world to the Lord? It is his external energy. Then it makes sense. The whole material world then makes sense. Right? So this is the second Chatushloki. The third verse, which I by-hearted in your house, was Yatha mahanti bhutani bhuteshu chavacheshvanu pravisthani apravisthani then tata teshu na teshvaham. So he says that I am simultaneously inside everything and simultaneously outside everything. प्रविष्ठानी मतलब क्या? मैं प्रवेश करता हूँ. अप्रविष्ठानी मीन्स ऑपोजिट इन संस्कृत. मैं प्रवेश नहीं भी करता हूँ. बाहर भी हूँ, मैं अंदर भी हूँ, प्रवेश करता भी हूँ और नहीं भी करता हूँ. प्रविष्ठानी अप्रविष्ठानी. And then in the final verse, he says, एतावाद एव जिज्ञासम तत्व जिज्ञासुना आत्मनः अन्वय व्यतिरेकाभ्याम यत् सत् सर्वत्र सर्वदा. This is the fourth verse. He says, where he says that, therefore, having understood all these things, people, a person who is a genuine spiritual seeker will try to analyze and find me. They will try to find me because we can get bewildered by this material energy and not see the Lord. So, yat sat sarvata sarvada. Always there will be a quest for finding me through the process of bhakti. Something like that. So you can read the purports. Prabhupada has given very nice purports. We don't have time, otherwise, or maybe you will study it in the Bhakti VedaBase class, of course, when you do it. So it's very cryptic. He is inside everything, not inside everything, like that. But as devotees, we don't have to too much worry about these complications. For us, Rupa Goswami has said, don't worry about finding the Lord, because he is given simple process. What is the simple process? Katha Shri Krishna Namadi Na bhavet gahyam indriyai sevon mukhe jivado swayam eva spurati adaha. Sevon mukhe jivado. Jeev means tongue. Tongue से सेवा करना. कौन सा सेवा करते हैं tongue से? प्रसादम. सबसे मेरा favorite सेवा वही है. tongue से प्रसादम करना. So yeah, actually, so this tongue can be used by using this tongue for tasting Krishna prasadam or tasting Charanamrit, and by using this tongue for chanting, and by using this tongue for preaching, then one can understand Bhagavan. Sevon mukhe hi jivada. So you don't have to really dissect him. भगवान को विराट रूप में ढूंढूं या भगवान को ये रूप में ढूंढूं. We don't have to do all that. For devotees, it's a very simple, saral process, and we can just follow the process and he will be attained. So Lord Krishna is giving in the text 6, he is giving an analogous example. He is saying, understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. So the wind is in one sense resting on the sky. So that analogy he is giving. So that in that sense all of you are resting on me. So he is giving an analogy of himself as the sky. So this analogy is part of understanding the Lord through Virat Roop. Many people will say, Bhagwan ka Virat Roop mein dhyan karna chahta hu. So Virat Roop dhyan means what? Trying to understand that Bhagavan through an analogy of material nature. What is the best way to understand Bhagavan? Sevan mukhe hi jivado. Easy process. But फिर भी some people will not, मैं नहीं करूँगा chanting. I want to see logically. In front of me I want to see logically through material situation things I want to see Bhagavan. Then the Lord gives them the facility through the Virat Roop medium. So here he is giving one example of how to see him, how to understand him from the Virat Roop conception. There is a special word Prabhupada uses. I think the word is called pantheism. Yeah, pantheism. Pantheism means seeing everything through matter. Like that. For example, in the jungle, some of the tribals, they will go and they will see the mountain, or they will see a Bhagavan in a big bird or something like that. Many tribes have that. They will worship a mountain or a hill or whatever. So that is, or they will worship the sky. So this is called as pantheism. Virat Roop is nothing but pantheism. So the Lord is saying, okay, you see me everywhere. You see me in the taste of water. You see me in the sky. You see the birds and you will see me. You will see my ferocity in the animals. Something like that. Now, the example is interesting. That there is another aspect to this. Now, though we are all within Lord Krishna, in that sense, still we are all independent. Because we have been given free will. So the sky example is given here. The sky restricts only the area of movement of the wind. But the sky does not restrict movement itself. Does that make sense? The analogy, the sky only restricts the area of movement, but it does not restrict the concept, the principle of movement. So therefore, both are unconscious. The sky is also unconscious and wind is also unconscious in that sense. Because matter doesn't form any attachments. Right? But this is a nice example. Why? It is given to make us understand that similarly the jivas are dependent, but at the same time independent. So we have minute independence. Just like the wind has got minute independence to move within the realms of the sky, similarly we have all got minute independence. Okay? To perform our limited whatever. But at the end of the day, the decision maker is Bhagavan. थोड़ा हम लोग कुछ कर सकते हैं, हाथ पैर मार सकते हैं दुनिया में, like that.
Can I ask a question? No, it is said, it is previously explained that not a blade of grass moves without Krishna's permission. At the same time, we have independence, limited independence to do what we want. And he also knows the past, present and future. How can we reconcile all of this? Maybe a psychic...
Stick up with this. Stick up with this. Maybe he knows what decision you are going to take. But he does not interfere.
It's a good way to do it.
Because he is Paramatma inside the heart, no? There is real-time information exchange. There is no data lag.
But still, how can
There
he
is
know
no network
all of
latency
this?
there.
But how can he know all of the future, Prabhuji? Because I have not yet made the decision.
Huh?
How can he know? He knows the past, present and future.
Computer.
So inside he knows what you are thinking.
No, but still I haven't made my decision. I haven't done the action. It's not even happened.
That's why he doesn't complex
But how can he definitely say that he knows the future? Why he gives me the independence?
I don't know, I have to ask him. I don't know.
Actually, Prabhu, I had the same question to Bhagavad Prabhu. And he said that even though we have the independence, he still knows what, like you said, he knows what decision he will make. That's what he told me. I had the same question.
So what was the question?
How does Krishna know? I mean, given the
So
independence.
that is the answer. That's all I also can fathom. That he knows what decision you are going to take. Anything else? Sorry.
No, that's all good.
There
Any
is
other
a faith
questions?
in the God. God, Lord Krishna knows everything. There is a faith. So, you know, past, present, and future, and everything. So if you have faith, then He will rule us.
Yeah. The one other understanding that we have to get from this verses 4 to 6 is that the Lord, even if when he enters the material world, he does not get impacted by the material energy. That is one very important point that we have to understand. When I enter the office, then immediately what happens? I get bound by the rules and regulations of the office. I am under the jurisdiction of the office. But when the Lord enters the material world, he is still not bound by the jurisdiction. It's like, for example, एक जेल के अंदर दो तरीके के लोग जाते हैं. एक जो criminal है, the other fellow is the Inspector General of Prisons. Okay, the criminal is bound to eat sukha roti, but the Inspector General of Prisons may even get makki di roti and sarson ka saag. Correct? That is possible. Oh, sorry, in South Indian language, you may get idli sambar or whatever. You know what is makki di roti? No.
North Indian.
Uncle will tell us.
But North Indian है.
North Indian.
Punjabi है मक्की रोटी.
Punjabi है makki roti.
Elaboration. He will get it. It is not his, Inspector General, he do get it.
He will get it. He has to get it.
Not that.
So he is not bound by the rules which is there for.
कभी-कभी वो prisoner को भी दे देता है अपनी मर्जी से. He can, like Krishna can give to.
Prisoner also, very good, nice example. Sometimes prisoner can also get. And when prisoner gets that, then prisoner doesn't want to go out of prison. That is the problem also. But when Krishna gives, it's different. When it doesn't, whatever Krishna gives is never binding. It is liberating. A good example. So, when the Lord enters the material world, he is not bound by the jurisdiction or by the rules of the material world. That is why it is said, Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Reka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vivarti Durga Ichchanu Rupam Api Yasya Chachestatesa Govinda Madhipurusham Namahamaya. Why it is said like that? Because Durga conducts herself according to the will of Lord Krishna. Durga is subordinate to Lord Krishna. She conducts Shakti Tattva is subordinate to Vishnu Tattva. So Durga otherwise, who rules over the material world with Trigunamayi, she is still servant of Lord Krishna. So when Lord Krishna comes, then the power of Durga does not work. Of course, Goddess Durga doesn't even want her power to work. She is a pure devotee of the Lord. But still it doesn't. Durga cannot, Krishna can never be subordinated to anyone, by anyone. So that is another important point to understand. Because he is entering doesn't mean he gets contaminated. That is called as Mayavadi philosophy. Mayavadi philosophy मतलब जब भगवान इस दरिद्र दुनिया में उतरते हैं तो वो भी दरिद्र नारायण बन जाते हैं. It is called bogus philosophy.
So what is their standpoint to this verse that you just
No standpoint.
They don't.
There is no standing, there is no point. So there is no standpoint.
What is the argument? They are also existing, surviving. No? They just ignore it.
Tell them to start speaking, and when they open their mouth, put prasadam in their mouth. Just wait for that opportunity. The moment they start speaking, you put prasadam.
Misunderstanding is what it is.
Misunderstanding. It's not misunderstanding, it is a refusal to understand. They don't want access to Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the problem. Most of the people, they refuse to understand. What can you do? When someone wants to invent his own philosophy, you can't stop him. Isn't it? So there is no Daridra Narayan business. Bhaktan Daridra ne ho jata hai. In fact, it is said, what is it? Pantastu koti tatavatsara sampragamyo. Vayor thapi manaso muni pungavanam. Then, what is the translation now? डिजायर मार खाते हैं हम लोग.
See, the thousands of years, the munis and rishis, they take, but they don't get.
They don't get, but there, what is the other verse which says that thousands of Lakshmis, Pantastuk nahi. Chintamani prakara satmashu kalpa vriksha. Like that. So he's got kalpa vriksha there. जो चाहिए वो उधर मिल जाता है spiritual world में. So there is the question of Daridra Narayan. Correct? There is no Daridra Narayan. We are all Daridra Narayan. That is the problem. We are so Daridra कि हम लोगों का हालत इतना खराब है कि even when easy process is given, we don't want to follow. Isn't it? We are the Daridra for us. He is not Daridra. So we have to understand that he is not subjugated by material nature. That's the central point. Let's go to 7 and 8. The whole cosmic order is under me. See, as if to answer our doubts, he is saying in the next verse. The whole cosmic order. But actually he is right. I am reading it.
So I gave you the weight.
That's why you gave me the weight. Huh? But if I put the weight, I can't turn the page. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. So again and again, he is using the word my will. So Durga conducts herself according to the will of the Lord. Lord Shiva conducts himself according to the desire of Lord Vishnu. My will is very important. Everywhere it is coming. We'll see the time and then we'll see whether we want to read. Okay. You can probably read this quickly. Who can read? Where is Mahesh Prabhu today? No. Express reader. Meera Prabhu, आप पढ़ोगे? फटाफट.
8.
Prabhuji wants to read 8.
This material world is the manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This has already been explained several times. At the creation, the material energy is let loose as the Mahatattva, into which the Lord has his first Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu, enters. He lies within the causal ocean.
Causal ocean.
Sorry. He lies within the causal ocean and breathes out innumerable universes. And into each universe, the Lord again enters as the Founder-Acharya Vishnu. Each universe is in that we created. He still further manifests himself as Shiro's child, and that Vishnu enters into everything, even into the minute atom. This fact is explained here. He enters into everything. Now, as far as the living entities are concerned, they are impregnated into this material nature, and as a result of their past deeds, they take different positions. Thus the activities of this material world begin. The activity of the different species of living beings are begun from very moment of the creation. It is not that all is evolved. The different species of life are created immediately along with this universe. Men, animals, beasts, birds, everything is simultaneously created, because whatever desires the living entities had at the last annihilation are again manifested. It is clearly indicated here by the word awesome that the living entities have nothing to do with this process. The state of being in their past life, in the past creation, is simply manifested again. And all this is done simply by His will. This is the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And after creating different species of life, He has no connection with them. The creation takes place to accommodate the inclinations of various living entities, and so the Lord does not become involved with it.
What are the points here?
Material world is created according to the desires of the living entities. We have given
requirements.
Or the desire to enjoy based on our
because of their inclinations.
Correct.
It's a refutation to origin of species. Like everything originates simultaneously, not that evolution will happen.
Correct.
Yeah,
Good observation.
Virtualization concept is coming from this.
So many people ask question, Murgi pehle aaya ya? Anda pehle aaya. So you can tell them, read Bhagavad Gita, you will get answer. Dono pehle aaya. Saath mein aaya dono. That is the answer. So, Srila Prabhupada says that there is nothing called as evolution of species. Everything appeared simultaneously.
I remember when I was in school, I asked my mother, I was studying Charles Darwin's theory. I asked her, if man developed from monkey, why would you say? We see monkeys even now, and my mother said she doesn't know.
Prabhupada said Darwin's forefather came from monkey. Darwin's forefather come from monkey, but not mine.
So, we have to understand that when this description is given, that Lord Krishna is maintainer of this material universe, he is the ultimate creator, he is behind annihilation, he enters into atoms. People might be thinking he is a very busy man. बहुत मतलब full time job रहेगा. He must be very tired. It's a very laborious exercise. So, it is mentioned, Bhujan Prabhu writes, nice. He says that Lord Krishna does not have to work very hard. Prabhupada used to refer to that Atlas, Pahalwan, who used to keep the dharti ka boj uta ke baithta tha apna sar ke upar wo, and he is really strained, his muscles are bulging like that, So he says that no, that is not our God. Our God is very, he is playing the flute nicely. Even after that, he is not working very hard. Ye thake hue nahi lagte, like that. So this is the beauty of Krishna. Nava Yavana. Normally when we work very hard in office, at 30 itself we start looking as if we are 50 years old, like that. But he is not like that. He is not, because he is not working very hard for all these things. He's got agencies. Okay, Durga, you take care of this. Okay, Lord Ganesh, you take care of this. Indra, you take care of this. Subcontract. So subcontract, outsourcing, 100% outsourcing. Yet full control. ऐसा नहीं quality problem, service level agreement. Full control is there. All KPIs are met.
33 million departments.
33 million departments. He is inside every department, like that. Not that, and he doesn't need annual leave. Okay. Nor there is a shutdown, weekly shutdown. Proper server boot karna padega and all those things. Refreshes, nothing like that. Refresh nahi, everything is destroyed and everything is created afresh. Like that.
Just by his will.
Just by his will. Yeah, just by his will. Normally, when we go to office and work till the evening, अपना तो दम निकल जाता है. But the Lord is उल्टा. उनके दम से ही बाहर universes आते हैं. By his breathing, universes come out. Like that. So the Lord is not subject to. So we have to really understand that he is not like a mundane human being. Why all this is required to understand is because when we see normally Krishna is Parthasarathi, etc., and then he is Bhagavan, so we really don't get that awe and reverence for him. We can take him very casually. Sudarshan Chakra hai, Bhagavan. But when you really see it in this context, that this whole universe, billions and billions of universes, and then he is the controller, then it gives a different perception about God. At least we develop respect for him. If we don't develop respect, then we cannot develop love for the Lord. We will take him very casually, or it is called Sahajiya mentality. Taking very casually. Just like, for example, if a very big man starts talking very normal with us, then we also start behaving very normal, and then sometimes we can forget who he is. ऐसा भी हो सकता है, like that.
And Vaikuntha is like 3 times this entire cosmic manifestation, something like somewhere.
The whole cosmic manifestation, the material world is 1/3.
1/3.
1/4?
No,
I thought 1/3. 1/4. Okay, stand correctly. 1/4. Okay. So there is no evolution of species. Prabhupada is reiterating here. Now, the other point that Bhurijan Prabhu brings out is that just because the Lord is, all powerful, etc., etc., Maya Dhakshena Prakriti, it doesn't mean that he is it doesn't mean that everything about the Lord is only about controlling, about creating, about annihilation. The same Lord, because He is the controller, then He doesn't need to be afraid of anyone. Correct? Because He is the controller. Everything works according to His will. Correct? He can control anyone. But still, the beauty of this absolute truth is that the Lord is controlled by His devotee. The Lord, still same Bhagavan, runs and is actually afraid when Mother Yashoda is chasing him with a stick. Like that. This is Adbhut, mystic opulence. Difficult to reconcile both this. Same Bhagavan, अब उनको चोरी करने का क्या जरूरत है बटर माखन चोरने का क्या जरूरत है. Some people actually say, when we were preaching, sometimes people say Krishna is an immoral god. माखन चोरा देते, चोरी करना पाप है. People will say like that. अरे
कभी
हाँ उसको अभी क्या कैसे समझाएंगे वैसे लोगों को. Correct? We have to tell them who the Lord is. So for such people, the Lord is speaking all these things. Tomorrow also you will see in Srimad Bhagavatam class, Maharaj Parikshit is asking a question to Sukadeva Goswami. Tell me what is the duty of a man about to die. And he is inquiring about knowledge for the common people. It's very specifically given. Now common people are not devotees. So therefore for the common people they need knowledge of common things. And then Raja Guhyam is given specifically to devotees because you are my intimate friend. Therefore in Srimad Bhagavatam you will find elaborate description of Virat Roop, this, that. It's not required for devotees at all. But because the question is asked for common people and a lot of common people are sitting there in the banks of Naimisaranya, then the Bhagavatam is being spoken for the common people. So it addresses all kinds of people. So we will discuss more about that tomorrow. So the same Lord who can be controller of the whole entire universe is also controlled by the love of His devotees. Pyar se control. So same thing works in the house also. We can control our partner only by love. There is no other way. एक दो बार ठीक है, but उसके बाद even children, especially when they become teenagers, we can't control them with any other way. You show them stick, nothing will work. It hurts बोलेंगे. That's all they will say. Don't hit me. It hurts. Like that. Then what can you do after that? Then what you can do, you can only win them by love. That's all. Because love is something which sells with everyone in this world. Everyone wants it. There's nobody who doesn't want it. So the Lord is part of this. He enters this material world, but still He is not of this material world. Now because He is not of this material world, He generates no karmic reaction for all the work that He is doing. It's not that because the Lord destroyed everything, कितने लोगों की जाने गई, therefore the Lord is getting bad karma. Therefore the Lord has to suffer. It's not like that. Some people will say the Lord had to come down. The Lord भगवान को वनवास में जाना पड़ा because curse लगा something like that. But nobody can curse the Lord. Curse can be only applicable for a person who is
bound to this
material world. The Lord is beyond all that. So there is no question of anybody cursing Him or He being subjugated to. The only thing that He is subjugated to is the desire of His devotee. For that reason He can come down. Advaita Acharya, when he prayed with tulsi leaf and water, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to come down to the world. Because it was Advaita Acharya's desire which brought Mahaprabhu down at the end of the day.
Hey, about to be 9 o'clock is what they say.
Oh, is it? It's a warning for me, yeah? This is how my friends used to call me for cricket in my childhood from below. That means, stop your studies and come for cricket now. From beaches, they'll whistle like this. Oh Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. All this work cannot bind me because I am beyond karmic reaction. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. So Lord is always neutral. So here the Lord is mentioned. This is a very important point. Lord is mentioned as Udasinavad. Udasinavad matlab udas nahi. Bhagavan is not udas. Hum log udas hai. But Bhagavan is always happy. Nava Yavanam very happy. Udasinavad means what? Neutral. See the translation. What does it say? Neutral. So the neutrality of Bhagavan is given. Lord is always aloof and neutral, impartial, at all times. And we explained earlier, therefore who is partial? Only a devotee is partial. Which kind of devotee is partial? Madhyamadikari. Because the Madhyamadikari differentiates. Prema Maitri, Kripa Upeksha, Yaha Karoti Sa, Madhyama. It's the Madhyamadikari who loves and serves the seniors, who does friendship, Maitri with the peers, Kripa, who shows compassion on people who are lower to him, and Upeksha means stays away from people who are not interested in Krishna Bhakti. So it is a Madhyamadikari who differentiates. It's not Bhagavan who differentiates. And therefore people who are favorable, they are the devotees, the preachers are more favorable to those kind of people who are interested in Krishna consciousness. So the differentiation is done at the Madhyamadikari, not at the Bhagavan level. Text 10. Text 10 is 100% key memory verse, without doubt. One of the most important verses of Bhagavad Gita. Mayadhyakshena prakrite suyate sacharachara etunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. सब कुछ उनके अध्यक्ष में, मायाध्यक्ष में, मेरे अध्यक्ष में हो रहा है सब कुछ. There are 4 features of Bhagavan. Cause of all causes, supreme controller, supreme proprietor and supreme enjoyer. चारों चीज. He should be enjoying. If he is also like Atlas, थके हुए लगेंगे हर समय. फिर then we'll say क्या भगवान है, मैं भी थक जाता हूँ, वो भी थक गए हैं. No, it's not like that. He should be always enjoying, supreme enjoyer, like that. He should be a supreme proprietor and he should be the supreme controller of everything. So Mayadhyakshena Prakriti. Now we have to read it carefully. It is not Mayadhyakshena Prakriti. Somebody will say Mayadhyakshena Prakriti means ये पूरा संसार माया के अध्यक्ष में चल रहा है. No, Mayadhyakshena Prakriti. Not Mayadhyakshena Prakriti. Please read that carefully. That's why he uses the word my jurisdiction. And there's a nice analogy that is given. The smelling power of a person and the fragrance. When there is a fragrance and the smelling power of the person catches the fragrance, but still they are not attached. They are still both separate. सांसों में खुशबू है, लेकिन खुशबू अलग है, सांस अलग है, अलग ही रहेगा. So that's something like that. I don't know how to explain this. Okay. Now the question is, despite the Lord being the supreme controller, then why don't people understand and still not acknowledge Lord Krishna? अभी खुद ही बोल रहे हैं भगवान इधर, मैं सुप्रीम कंट्रोलर हूँ, माया अध्यक्ष न प्रकृति, सब कुछ मेरे वजह से चल रहा है, फिर भी लोग कृष्ण भक्ति से क्यों मुकरते हैं? Why people don't accept Lord Krishna? Still why they don't surrender to Lord Krishna? That will be explained in the next class. Any questions or comments? Nothing? Srila Prabhupada ki?